International Circuit in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Round 4 of the 2025 F4 Southeast Asia Championship about to get under starters orders for race 1 out of 3. Jake Sanson in the commentary box once again. It's going to be an interesting battle because we have a championship potentially up for grabs today, or even tomorrow, more likely, with 6 races remaining in this F4 Southeast Asia Championship, and one man has been a one-man wrecking ball up against the opposition. Alex Sawyer of Vietnam, 7 wins out of 8 coming into this weekend, and can seal the championship tomorrow if he manages to secure 20 points more than his rival Seth Gilmore over the course of the 3 races. But that is going to be very difficult to achieve, and he certainly can't win the championship in today's first race. He's got to wait until all of the cards have fallen in the end of race 3. But championship is not going to be on his mind in this first race. Getting off the 3rd row of the starting grid, however, is. It's been a very competitive qualifying session, easily the session of the season so far, as the drivers make their way around the circuit on the installation lap, and the mechanics make their way out onto the starting grid of the South Paddock, because that's where the F4 Southeast Asia cars will line up on their dummy grid. They will do a formation lap and then come back to the Grand Prix starting grid, slightly different format for the drivers here at Sepang, because obviously the main starting straight is taken up by the multiple contenders in the Malaysian Touring Car Championship and the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia, which is going to be taking place shortly after this race will complete. So we're going to have some fantastic competitors out on the starting grid. That's going to be really exciting from the outset. And we've got a rookie driver in pole position for this one. There he is, the number 19, Niccolò Macagnani, the Italian driver for Pinnacle Motorsport. If you're sitting there thinking, who is Niccolò Macagnani? Well, you'd be very right to ask that question. He doesn't have the same karting pedigree as many of his contemporaries. He's actually spent the last 4 years testing F4 cars behind closed doors around Italy and Europe. So he has been trying to get himself at one with the car for the last few seasons, rather than spending weekend upon weekend hemorrhaging money in the karting championships, which are becoming more and more expensive all the time. So rather than spending the money on karting, they decided to spend the money on testing the F4 car over the course of 4 years. It's a very unusual route to go through the motorsport ladder, but they've decided it's the right one for Niccolò Macagnani, and certainly the proof is in the eating of the pudding, because in pole position for this first race of the weekend is Niccolò Macagnani. He's never raced an F4 car before, and yet his prowess in qualifying was good enough to put him into first position. And of course, if he can get into the first corner first, after a decent run off the line, maybe the other drivers won't see him, because he's certainly proving to be very quick in a straight line. He will be joined on the front row of the grid by Inigo Anton, the Philippines driver for Black Arts Racing, the man who currently leads the Rookie Cup standings. But Inigo Anton is actually going to be on the front row of the starting grid with the best chance he's got yet of taking a first victory in F4 Southeast Asia. Second on the starting grid for him. Third on the grid is an Evans GP car, but it is neither Alex Sawyer nor Seth Gilmore. It is the new member of the team, Kyo Lee. So Kyo Lee, the Korean talent who's come over from the F4 Spanish Championship, has been running in the top 10 over the course of that season and certainly scored some points on occasions. He's now going to be going 3rd position off the starting grid in his first race on the Sepang International Circuit. He's never raced out here before. He spent a long time in Europe. He won the FIA Karting OKN World Cup last year, the first running of a very intriguing FIA karting event, which is basically a national cup championship for anybody in the OKN grade. It's much more open than perhaps the OK counterpart, so it focuses more on driver skill perhaps than fiscal opportunity. And so certainly for Kyo Lee, an opportunity to go from winning that to stepping into a single-seater has definitely helped him on his path. 4th on the starting grid, Seth Gilmore. Alex Sawyer in P5 of the starting grid, so a lot of work for the championship contenders to do from 4th and 5th on the starting grid. Could be a lot of overtaking needed if they want to work their way forward. 6th on the starting grid for the Indian star Rishon Rajiv for the Black Arts Racing team. Good to see him continuing to find his corner. 7th on the grid for Ben Yuing, who's definitely getting quicker by the race, as is his teammate from Singapore, Joshua Berry. Really good effort from those two. They've been picking up their pace very quickly indeed over the last few weeks. They've both managed to out-qualify the Chinese driver Wang Shongwei for the Origin Motorsport team. And then the new face on the grid for Black Arts Racing is Imran Putera, the Malaysian, who will be starting 10th on the grid on his home circuit. 11th on the grid for Thomas Yuli, the American driver for Evans GP, still going strong at 40 years of age, still loving life in a racing car. He's been part of the Evans GP family for quite a long time now across sports cars and single-seaters. I got to sit down and have a really intimate, very friendly chat with him earlier today, and he's still incredibly committed, still loves his motor racing, but he is here because he loves driving single-seaters. He has no championship-winning aspirations. He just wants to better himself. He knows that he can't take as many risks as some of the others out there because, of course, he has children to go home to, so he wants to make sure that he can do so. And, of course, it won't be too long before his young sons, who are both in karting, are going to be taking over the family mantle. So he wants to maximise his racecraft as much as he can before then. 12th on the starting grid, another new face in the championship is Karin Kaur, the Singaporean race driver. She has already made her debut in F4, but not in a Tartus. It was in a McGale racing in the Indian F4 Championship a few weeks ago, racing back-to-back weekends on the Aurangatuka race circuit at the Madras International, just outside the main city of Chennai. Fantastic circuit, very old school indeed, so you really need to keep your wits about you. And that's a very different challenge for an F4 driver in the Indian Championship. All of the cars are run in-house by the same team, a bit like they are in the French F4 Championship, whereas here, of course, they're all run by independent teams. Speaking of independent teams, this team is back, Pinnacle Motorsport. They haven't raced in the F4 Southeast Asia Championship since the 2023 season. They didn't start the first 3 weekends of the year, and now they have got themselves a fantastic pair of drivers in Nicolo Maccagnani and Karin Kaur. The last driver on the grid, by the way, is the Thai youngster Putta, also known, of course, as Wonapong Yamchan for the Star Performance team. Sadly, no Ayrton Asdathorn this weekend. He raced very well indeed at Budadam and Bangsain, very nearly taking victory on home soil in both weekends. Wasn't quite able to finish the job. Sadly, a penalty denied him the victory on the streets of Bangsain in the first of the 2 races on the Grand Prix weekend. But hopefully we will see Ayrton return to F4 Southeast Asia very soon indeed. So, a very interesting race in prospect then for us here. 25 minutes go on the clock, 31 degrees Celsius air temperature. That is the air temperature, not the track temperature. It's even more than that on the track surface, and I know how difficult it is to keep on top of that because I saw earlier on Evans GP aficionado Kelvin Burt, the former British F3 champion and British touring car racer, who is part of the Evans GP mould, checking the temperature of the circuit quite regularly through the last couple of hours. They're trying to keep an eye on how it's going to go. The longest straight is very nearly a kilometre in length here. The long straight, 927 metres. In length, 15 corners around this Sepang International Circuit. Former Grand Prix venue, of course, hosted Formula One from 1999 all the way through to 2017, and of course still hosts the Grand Prix of Malaysia in MotoGP. And a couple of months ago, Super GT came here for the first time this decade, and it was great to see all of the Asian sports car superstars transgress on the circuit here and put in such a fantastic run. There is Inigo Anton, Rookie Cup leader in the points, hoping to get his first overall victory. He's already had Rookie Cup wins this year, but would dearly love to convert that into an overall race victory. And he and the team at Black Arts Racing, led by the ex-Formula One driver Alex Young, are very determined to push that little bit of a bar over the line a bit more and hope that they can go for a race victory. As the number 4 car, that is Kyo Lee, the Korean driver. Straight into the team, straight onto the second row of the grid, and faster than both of his teammates at the front end. Both Seth Gilmore and Alex Sawyer were outpaced by the quiet and very calm Korean driver. So it'll be fascinating to see what he can do when he goes wheel to wheel with his teammates in the first race of his season. Of course, he's been racing in the F4 Spanish Championship prior to this. So there's definitely a lot of excitement coming for young Kyo Lee. The Australian driver, 4th on the starting grid, Seth Gilmore, fresh off the back of his victory on the streets of Bangsain. Many people saying, well, he won by a penalty. He said to me earlier today, look, a win is a win. I'm happy to take a win. It's helped me in terms of my confidence no end, and now I'm ready to win some more. So good attitude from Seth Gilmore, the Australian. And there is the championship leader, 5th position on the starting grid for Alex Sawyer, his lowest starting grid position of the season. But with no pressure really coming into this one. He's got a massive lead in the championship. He doesn't have to focus on winning the championship today because he knows mathematically it can't be done anyway. He can still have a massive lead in the points, even if he loses to Seth Gilmore in this particular race. He's still got plenty of opportunities to add to his score tomorrow and, of course, in 2 weeks' time as well. Great to see all of your support on YouTube, particularly for the Vietnamese talents of Alex Sawyer and Ben Nguyen. Some really good performances. I want to pick up on Ben Nguyen, actually. Of all the drivers on this grid, I would say he's probably one of the most improved over the few weeks we've had in the championship. Rishon Rajiv, you can see that on old tyres. They do get a fresh set of tyres, but they have to choose over the course of the race weekend when to put the next fresh set of tyres on. Sometimes they have to go into the race knowing they've got used tyres on. So that obviously comes with its own challenges, but they have to pick their moment to put fresh tyres on, and pretty much nobody will put fresh tyres on for the first race. They'll leave it for race 2 or race 3 to try and maximise their opportunities. Quite a few drivers will wait for the end of race 1 and then decide whether they'll put their tyres on for race 3, or in the reverse grid, if they've got a better starting point on the reverse grid race tomorrow morning, they'll put the fresh tyres on then. This young man, 37, Ben Nguyen from Vietnam. What an improvement he has been making over these last few weeks. There was a little bit of a difficulty for him getting himself up to speed with his colleagues. And of course, his first weekend of the championship, he had that aquaplane moment in the rain here at Sepang. But he and his teammate here, the Singaporean Joshua Berry, their pace has improved dramatically over the last few weeks. And where they were a little bit lacking in terms of raw speed and ability in the past few weeks, both Ben Nguyen of Vietnam and Joshua Berry of Singapore have grown so much in stature over these last 2 months. They are so much quicker than they were before. And for me, they are now genuine threats for the top 5 in the standings. It's going to be really interesting to see if one of them can grab a podium. This could be the race of the season so far. Number 22, that is the Origin Motorsport machine of Wong Xiong Wei. They're actually in the spare car because the race car had a bit of a problem earlier on in the weekend, so they've had to change to the spare chassis, as it were. So Wong Xiong Wei now in the jet black Origin car, certainly not racing in Origin colours anymore, but hopeful that there's still going to be a very positive run for the Chinese driver, one of the senior members of the field. Both he and Thomas Yuli, not the whippersnapper talents that the other drivers are. There is the young talent Imran Putera. Good to see him getting himself ready for an exciting run. So the Malaysian driver looking for a really exciting challenge out on the circuit in his home race, joining the list of fantastic talents from Malaysia to get into the world of single-seaters and hoping, of course, to emulate his team boss, Alex Young, to one day compete for Malaysia in the world of Formula One. And it all starts here, this journey. Great to see you all tuning in from around the world. It's an Asian championship, yes, of course it is, but there's a lot of people watching from all over. Rafael Ferreira tuning in all the way from Brazil to watch the competitors. A lot of fans watching from the Philippines, cheering on Inigo Anton, and a massive crowd of Vietnamese talent watching along on the stream for their boys. Alex Sawyer, championship leader, and Ben Nguyen, the rising star, who, don't forget, has only been racing in motorsport of any kind since December. He got into a rental car for the first time in December 2024, and now here he is in the pinnacle of Southeast Asian F4 racing. It's quite an amazing journey for Ben Nguyen, and you have to take that into consideration when you consider just how much hard work he's done and is still doing. So the grid is clear. The drivers will be sent around the course. Great to see the Pinnacle Motorsport team back again in action, and in their first race back, it's pole position for the stunning young Italian, Niccolò Macagnani, a name that not many people know about yet, but you're about to hear a heck of a lot more. Spent the last 4 years testing F4 cars behind closed doors, rather than racing at karting events around the world. And he has already got himself signed up to the Ferrari Young Driver Academy for 2026. This is the first chapter in Niccolò Macagnani's racing career. And he said to me earlier today, he's hoping to use this as a springboard to start the epic journey to one day race for his beloved Ferrari in Formula One someday? Well, he'll join their Young Driver Academy next year. Maybe it could be he. Everybody has to start somewhere. We may have to sit back and remember where we were in September 2025 when we first saw the incredible talent Niccolò Macagnani, because this could become a historic start to an amazing journey all the way up to the pinnacle. And there he is in the pinnacle in pole position in their first race back in F4 Southeast Asia. So around we go then for the formation lap. And it is going to be probably the most competitive race we've had so far this year. We've had some very good ones indeed. The races at Podium did not have a massive amount of overtaking, but there were certainly some great battles up and down the length and breadth of the field. Here is the starting grid. Niccolò Macagnani, pole position on debut, alongside Inigo Anton, the leader in the rookie category. Qiao Li, third position on the grid in his first race of the season in F4 Southeast Asia, alongside the Bangsen Grand Prix Race 1 winner, Seth Gilmore of Australia. He's fighting for the championship with a man in fifth on the grid, Alex Sawyer, who leads the championship at a canter. Indian Rishon Rajiv, sixth on the grid for the Black Arts Racing team. P7, also for Vietnam, is Ben Yuing, and his teammate for Singapore, Joshua Berry, eighth on the starting grid, much faster than he was at the start of the year. Wang Shongwei for China, ninth position on the grid alongside the new Malaysian star Iwanan Putera. Then it is Thomas Yu Lee lining up 11th on the grid, the American star, alongside Corinne Carr, the Singaporean, the newest face in the starting grid. Alongside, on the 13th position on the grid, is the Thai putter, Wollapong Iamchan, who is sadly alone this weekend as his teammate Ayrton Asdathorn, who did such a fantastic job out in Bangsen and Buriram, has not been able to appear for this round of the championship at Sepang. A lot of support all the way from Australia as well, cheering on Seth Gilmore. And after his victory on the streets of Bangsen, he has never looked more confident. And this is the first time that he's looking genuinely quick enough to take on Alex Sawyer in a straight fight on a road circuit and go for the victory. They had that famous tangle, of course, in race 1 at Bangsen when Alex Sawyer challenged Seth Gilmore for position. There was contact, and it was Alex Sawyer that ended up in the barriers with Seth Gilmore going on to take the race victory. There's no acrimony between the two drivers, I should point out. They are still very good friends, they are still great teammates, and there is a fantastic working relationship between the two. It didn't turn into a war or a bitter feud. Both drivers held their hands up and said they didn't want to get involved in that situation, they didn't want to be in that incident, and both of them were as apologetic as each other, both essentially taking the credit for it and the blame as well. So it just shows you the harmony that they have down at the Evans GP team, that nobody threw anybody under the bus, nobody pointed fingers, everybody was still great athletes and great sportsmen. And when you consider that these guys are 15, 16, 17 years of age, it's a full credit to their mechanics, their race managers, their parents, to the kind of athletes they are turning these guys into. Great stuff, great to see. So the competitors are getting themselves geared up as into the pits comes Josh Berry, and he looks as though he's got an issue with his car. So yet again, more bad luck for Josh Berry. So he's going to have to start his race from the pit lane on the south paddock by the look of it. The rest of the cars line up on the starting grid on a weekend where Alex Sawyer can win the championship in the F4 Southeast Asia Championship. He can't win it until race 3 at the earliest, but it is still technically possible for the Vietnamese driver to do so. Waiting for Josh Berry to get the signal from the south paddock at the end of the pit lane. A very strange situation for him, starting quite a considerable way back from the rest of the pack. But the rest of the drivers are in position, ready for the start. So all the contenders line up in position, and we are ready for the first race of the weekend in the F4 Southeast Asia Championship. Round 4, race 1, 2025 to get underway here at Sepang International Circuit. The green flag will fly at the back of the field. The lights come on, they go out. Now, let's race at Sepang. Good start from pole position for Niccolò Macagnani. Good defensive tactics from Inigo Anton. Seth Gilmore's got a good launch. He's going to go wheel to wheel with Qiao Li to the first corner. It looks as though Alex Sawyer's being quite smart into the run to the first corner, just sticking like glue to Qiao Li as Gilmore comes right round the outside. Tries to hold it, but he has to brake. Tucked in behind Inigo Anton. Look at the start from Rishon Rajiv. He's trying to get side by side with the Evans GP cars. Hasn't been able to jump them, but he can now start the attack as everybody else works their way forward. There goes Josh Berry into the race at the back of the field. But out in front, Niccolò Macagnani has got the perfect start for Pinnacle, and he leads the way. The Italian stallion is already in commanding form, locks up the brakes though into turn 4. Just making sure everybody gets through without difficulty as Wang Shongwei goes wheel to wheel there with Ben Yuing, I think. So still battling away on the first lap of the race. In fact, he's actually dueling there with Imran Putera, the Malaysian driver in the Black Arts Academy car. Running a slightly different entrant because, of course, you're only allowed to run 4 cars in one team. So they get around that by entering a second team entry. It's quite expensive to do that, but it gives the team a chance to have another driver in that particular crew, although he's not technically racing for the same team. So through on the first lap, nice and tidy as everybody keeps it nice and smooth. There's Thomas Yuli with his fantastic dual livery. Orange and white on one side, teal and white on the other. And the Evans GP guys have stayed out of trouble on the first lap, and it looks as though, despite the good start initially from Seth Gilmore, he's had to slot into 4th position behind Kyo Lee. So off the turn at 14, and Niccolò Macagnani not really getting himself into hot water so far on his debut in car racing. But from pole position, he's had it very much his own way so far. The real test for Niccolò Macagnani could come in race 2 tomorrow, depending on what the results are going to be. But there's a lot of pressure on the shoulders of the Italian, who has never led an F4 race before. He's never driven in an F4 race before, and here he is, making his debut in single-seaters from pole position. So Niccolò Macagnani, the future Ferrari Driver Academy ace, is leading the way at the moment, ahead of Inigo Anton, Kyo Lee, Alex Sawyer in 4th place, ahead of Seth Gilmore. So I'm not sure where he managed to make the jump. That might even have been as early as turn 3, you know. So Alex Sawyer gets himself into 4th position, but now he's got some work to go after the guys in front of him. Macagnani, Anton, and Kyo Lee have been very fast here. So Kyo Lee, the Korean driver, looking very strong at the moment in 3rd position, trying to chase after Inigo Anton, who knows this is his best chance yet of an overall race victory, and he's going after a guy who has never raced on the Sepang International Circuit before in an F4 car, whereas Inigo Anton has done it several times now. Will experience from the Philippine star pay dividends? He's going to have to work very hard indeed to make it work, because Macagnani is looking very comfortable in the lead here. Kyo Lee is being hunted down by Alex Sawyer, so this isn't over yet, and Seth Gilmore is slowly starting to lose the tail of the quartet. 6th for Rajiv, then it's Yuli, Putera, Wong, Nguyen, Karin Carr, Wonapong Yamchan, and Joshua Berry trying to recover after more technical problems with the car. That certainly didn't look like it was an issue for Joshua Berry. It definitely looked car-related rather than driver-related on the start. So fascinating to see how things have already started to play out here. But Alex Sawyer, hoping to become champion this weekend, up into 4th position. He can't win the title, of course, until race 3 at the very earliest. But that is still technically possible if he outscores Seth Gilmore by 20 points. And at the moment, he's looking fairly comfortable to outscore him, at least by a few. He said to me he's not really focusing on the championship title this weekend. He obviously knows that there's an opportunity here to become the first Vietnamese single-seater champion in an FIA competition, and he would love to give Vietnam that little piece of history. It's not lost on him, the significance of it. He really wants to make it happen, but he knows that he's got to focus on these things one thing at a time. But so far, so good is certainly the way things are currently looking. Big pressure being piled on Kyo Lee now by Alex Sawyer, who is really starting to pick up the pace again now. There is still potential here, there is still an opportunity. But so far, Inigo Anton getting a lot of hard work under the braking zone there. There was an incident earlier on, of course, in the Malaysian touring car race, so there's some cement dust down at turn 4. That's why there's a lot of dust being kicked up at the moment. So it definitely makes things particularly tricky for the contenders in this race. And they know how tricky that's going to make the conditions of the circuit. So they've just got to keep it nice and tidy, but look at how hungry Alex Sawyer is starting to look now. He knows that all it's going to take is his own self-confidence to try and make this move on his Korean teammate. Doesn't want to make it too early, but at the same time, he's got plenty of time to play with. So it's going to be very interesting indeed to see how this continues on between the two teammates as the Pinnacle boys watch on as Niccolò Macagnani runs in the lead by 0.7 of a second to Inigo Anton. And then, of course, young Karin Kawa is getting herself up to speed as well. Track limits, first warning for Niccolò Macagnani. He can drive the car very quickly, but he's got to be careful of track limits. So the race leader already getting his first warning for track limits on only lap 3. So he's got to think very carefully for the rest of this race. You've got to be pacing yourself. And this is a situation that he's never found himself in before, of course. Every pole position this year, bar 2, have been taken by Alex Sawyer. The other driver to bag a pole position, incidentally, was Ayrton Asdathorn on the streets of Bangsen. Only a poor start in that second race denied him the chance of a victory. Could easily have been Ayrton Asdathorn's victory on the streets of Thailand, but there is the confirmation on race control. Warning, as up the inside, there's the move from Alex Sawyer. He dives in on Kyo Lee, and he's into third position. Good move from the Vietnamese star. So Alex Sawyer passes his teammate, and now he is the captain of the ship at Evans GP again. Having started as the third driver in that trio, he has got himself ahead of Seth Gilmore, he's got ahead of Kyo Lee, and so now Alex Sawyer, the Vietnamese talent, is in third position. Now that is also good for him in terms of the championship, because that will put him on 18 points if he finishes third. And that will be 12 points for Seth Gilmore if it starts like this, if it finishes like this, sorry. So that will give him an extra 6 points more than Seth Gilmore in the championship fight. And he needs to outscore him this weekend by 20 points in these 3 races. He already took 2 points for pole position, so that definitely helped for race 3. But for race 1, here's the replay again on the inside. Here comes Alex Sawyer. It's a textbook overtake. No worries at all. Lines up Kyo Lee. Kyo Lee sees him coming, tries to move, but realizes if he moves any more than that, he's going to be overstretching the limits of sportsmanship. So he lets him go. And Alex Sawyer goes into third position, now chasing after Inigo Anton. Now, the last time these two went wheel to wheel, it was fairly clear-cut, but Inigo Anton knows that Alex Sawyer is the one under all the pressure in the world here. So Inigo Anton really wants to get closer to the lead up front. There's the Black Arts Racing team watching on to see if Inigo Anton can be assisted. You might have seen in the background there Alex Young, the former Formula 1 driver for Minardi in 2001 and 2002. Now, of course, the team principal at Black Arts Racing. And Alex Sawyer is looking to pull off exactly the same move that he pulled on Kyo Lee to Inigo Anton out of the final turn and down the home straight at the end of lap 4. Macagnani is leading, Anton in second, and Alex Sawyer has pulled a very nice move out of the final turn. Inigo Anton knows he's coming. He's going to have to defend valiantly as up to the inside. Alex Sawyer is going to make it look like a textbook overtake to the inside line. He gets the move. Second place for the Vietnamese driver. Picking them off one by one, and now he's into second place. Excellent start to the weekend, as now he's up into second place. That's 22 points compared to Seth Gilmore, who will score 12 if it stays like this, which means that he will score 10 more points than Seth Gilmore, and he has to score 20 more points than him to become champion. So even if Alex Sawyer doesn't win this race, if he stays second and Gilmore stays fifth, then Alex Sawyer is well on his way to wrapping up the championship tomorrow. Thumbs up for Evans GP. Goodness me, they're watching us. They're watching the feed as we go. I've never heard myself whilst commentating live on a broadcast. 15 minutes of this race still remaining then. We're still only 10 minutes in. Here's the move. Inigo Anton sees him coming, but I think he just knows. There's no chance. I can't defend, because if I'm going to be that aggressive in a turn 1, he's going to hit me. So Inigo Anton just surrenders the place, lets Alex Sawyer go. Very sportsman-like decision there from Inigo Anton. But when Alex Sawyer has got his dander up, you just get out of the way. You just let him go. 2 seconds to make up. This is the real test now for Alex Sawyer. Can he catch and pass the new star on the grid, Niccolò Macagnani. Back in the garages, the Evans GP crew. We can see the technical side from Nida Anis there, one of the mechanics within the team. Been keeping an eye on their data and onboard progress. She's been a very busy mechanic all the way through the season as well. She's worked in multiple paddocks up and down the length and breadth of the Asian Peninsula. Super GT, Thailand Super Series, Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and again, of course, here in F4 Southeast Asia, one of the busiest mechanics across Southeast Asia, and she's a real talent for the future. Keep an eye on her. Now here's Wang Shengwei battling away with Ben Yuing. So Ben Yuing, who's had a very tricky start to this race, something's not right with that car. He's overshooting at the final turn. He's just not getting the right sort of response out of the brake pedal. He's going long on the brakes there. Thomas Yuli in front of Imran Putera. And here is the Vietnamese driver Ben Yuing, who's really struggling in this battle with Wang Shengwei. Looks left, looks right. Wang Shengwei moves across again. Good little duel between these two as the Vietnamese driver tries to find a way round the outside of the Chinese star. Looks for a move, tries to cut back in. Is there going to be an opportunity here? He's really trying to find that little bit of extra pace off the turn. He can go long here, round the far side, and pick up his opportunity. Wang Shengwei is really trying to make him work for it as they go wheel to wheel, down to turn 4. This could be the opportunity. Wang Shengwei's trying to protect. Ben Yuing round the outside. Can the Vietnamese driver stick it to him? Oh, it's not easy to get back on the power in good time. Very tricky. Now he's got to run through 5, through the left-hander. Close back up in 6. Wang Shengwei, the Origin driver, versus Ben Yuing of Vietnam in the Black Arts. Trying his best to find a way through on the inside, but Wang Shengwei really is moving a lot to keep the Vietnamese talent at bay. And there is a penalty for the 44 of Wonapong Yamchan. That is a 10-second time penalty for a false start. So Wonapong Yamchan has been given a penalty there, unfortunately. That means he will drop behind Joshua Berry, who is about to overtake him anyway. So Ben Yuing all over the back of the Chinese driver. Wang Shengwei still trying to make his bid to get through. There's the confirmation for the time penalty for Wonapong Yamchan. So 10-second penalty for false start. But Ben Yuing is not giving up here. Now he's going to try again. Through 13. Up towards the right-hander at 14. There's a second track limits warning for Niccolò Macagnani. He may get a penalty here for track limits. If he does it a third time, he will get a penalty added to his race time. We're not even at half distance yet. Well, we've just gone past half distance, actually. And he's already got 2 track limits warnings. You've got to be careful. Ben Yuing closing up again on Wang Shengwei. Goes long, waits for the cutback, tries to get back on the power to try and overlap on the Origin car. Down the straight again. Wang Shengwei keeps an eye on his mirrors. You've also got to look out for the meter board for braking, though. Ben Yuing looks for the chance. Wang Shengwei moves at exactly the right time. Yuing tries to commit. Wang Shengwei goes deep, but he's going to run wide, and that's going to be the move from Ben Yuing. Got to be careful on the power, though. The back end kicks out. An amazing battle. Now on the undercut through turn 2, and Yuing is going to be side by side with Wang Shengwei. He'll drive right round the outside of him. Commit, Ben, you can make this. Round the outside. Wheel to wheel down to the braking zone for turn 4. Wang Shengwei on the inside for China, around the outside, Ben Yuing. He's got to brake later, but Wang Shengwei's going to get the inside line and cover it off. And now Ben Yuing's got a better run off the turn, out of 4, but he can't quite draw level. Commits round the outside. Go on, Ben! Can he make this stick round the outside on one of the toughest corners on the circuit? Now gets to the inside line. Wang Shengwei repeats the move round the outside. Fantastic dueling. Amazing racing between these two. Wang Shengwei and Ben Yuing really delivering. Amazing racecraft between the two. Millimeters from each other, no contact. Exactly how racing is supposed to be. Hard but fair. Amazing duel between these two so far. They just keep getting better as time goes on. So Ben Yuing will try again. Wang Shengwei really struggling though. Can the Chinese driver keep Ben Yuing at bay? 2 Vietnamese drivers on the charge. Alex Sawyer trying to close up on the race leader Niccolò Macagnani. And Ben Yuing desperately trying to get one over on Wang Shengwei. But this is good work from Nguyen, just putting him under pressure. Just keep hammering home his advantage. As Macagnani loses 0.2 of a second on this lap to Alex Sawyer, who is closing in 1.7 seconds. So some good performances as the drivers continue to make good work of it. Off the far side, Ben Nguyen still trying to get close to Wang Xiongwei, but he's not going to get his run into turn one this time. He's too far back. The fans are enjoying it. Really good dueling between the Chinese ace and the Vietnamese talent, and it's going to be a track limits warning for the third time for Kyo Lee. Now that could really benefit Seth Gilmore, who is behind him. And if Kyo Lee gets a penalty, Seth Gilmore's going to gain some points here. He'll gain 3 if he manages to get ahead. Ben Nguyen tries again here on Wang Xiongwei. The battle for 9th position. Can Ben Nguyen find his move? Wang Xiongwei being really protective again to the inside line. Nguyen round the far side. We've been here before. How's he going to respond on the exit? Nguyen gets a really good run off the turn. Wang Xiongwei trying to thwart him from getting alongside him. Ben Nguyen can commit to the inside line, keeps the car strong. But he backs out of it. He knows that he can set him up for the hairpin in a couple of corners' time if he can just follow in the wake and keep his foot in. There's still a chance here for Ben Nguyen. Not the next right-hander, not the one after that. The left-hander, the hairpin, you can set him up. He's got to stay strong on the exit. This is good from Ben Nguyen. Can he make his bid? Wang Xiongwei's going ultra-defensive on Ben Nguyen. If he gets this wrong on the exit, Nguyen might have a chance here, and he knows it. Look at the aggression from Ben Nguyen, really solid behind Wang Xiongwei. Wang is doing everything he can, but Nguyen is looking so calm and confident. This is all part of the development work. You may be thinking, okay, well, this is only for 9th place at the moment. Well, yes, but next time it could be for the podium. So it's so important to outfox your opponent. You learn all the time in F4. You never stop learning. Macagnani across the line. Alex Sawyer gets the fastest lap of the race. 2:11.58 for Alex Sawyer. He's got the gap down to 1.3 seconds. So this is going to be Macagnani's first real test as a racing driver. He's going to go after the man who leads the championship in F4 Southeast Asia, Alex Sawyer, who, if he gets ahead, will take another victory and put himself so close to winning this championship. It's almost unreal. There's Macagnani, and there is Alex Sawyer. Now, Sawyer is currently in 22 points for this race alone, for finishing second. Careful, Alex. Cement dust that's gone down at turn 4, not easy to slow the car down on. But he's a great instinctive driver, is Alex Sawyer. There is Nicolas Macagnani. He'll be part of the Ferrari Young Driver Academy next year. So he wants to start that journey in victorious fashion, but he's got to work so hard to keep Alex Sawyer behind him. If Sawyer gets ahead, that's 8 more points in the championship and a victory. So Alex Sawyer would score 30 points, with Seth Gilmore due to score 12. That would mean he would only need 2 more points than Seth Gilmore for the rest of the weekend to become champion. So now it's going to be very intriguing indeed to see how things go, but Alex Sawyer wants a piece of Nicolas Macagnani up front. Macagnani's been driving F4 cars since 2022. He hasn't been racing, he's been testing, and he's been working on the F4 car only. So he knows the car very well, but his racecraft is now about to be tested by the man who's won all but 1 race this year, and he crashed in that other race while fighting for the lead. So Alex Sawyer putting on the pressure here behind Nicolas Macagnani. And we've only got 5 minutes left. Can Alex Sawyer catch and pass the Italian in the last 5 minutes? It's going to go down to the wire between Macagnani, the young pretender, and Alex Sawyer, the man destined to become champion if he keeps things going as he is. Down the main straight to turn 1. 5 minutes left on the clock. Sawyer will not catch Macagnani on this lap, but the gap has come down to 0.6 of a second. Macagnani is feeling the heat now. 2:12.6 from him on the last lap, 2:11.9 from Alex Sawyer. Everyone watching back home in Vietnam, get your flags ready, because Alex Sawyer is pushing. There is Inigo Anton, 1.7 ahead of Kyo Lee. who has completely checked out from Seth Gilmore, who's really struggling. Look at how tough the competition's going to get between these two for the victory now. Macchignani and Alex Sawyer. Italy versus Vietnam. Through the left. And up to the right-hander once again. This is going to be very tricky indeed for Alex Sawyer. His victories in the previous races are one thing, but they mean nothing if he can't get the job done in this one. But even if he finishes second, he's still going to get a massive points haul over his teammate Seth Gilmore. Having said that, he doesn't want to throw any points away. He doesn't have to. He got washed out of the race at Bangsen in the first race with a victory in the offing. He doesn't want to have a similar incident with Niccolo Macchignani. He wants to show this young upstart how it's done. And Niccolo Macchignani has never had this much pressure on his shoulders driving an F4 car before. Pole position on his debut. Alex Sawyer down in P5, but he said, I know what went wrong in qualifying. I know how to fix it. I'm confident in the car. I'm confident in my pace. I can still fight for the victory. That's exactly what he's doing. But can he get the win off the Italian? 28.7 for Macchignani in Sector 1 compared to 28.6 for Alex Sawyer. Macchignani's picked up the pace in Sector 3. He's been able to take a tenth away from Sawyer, but Sawyer's got so much more confidence. Macchignani is still relying on pure driving speed, but racecraft is very different. And Macchignani, look, trying to break the toe of the man from Vietnam. Get off my back! No chance, says Alex Sawyer. I'm hunting you down. Down to turn 1. 2 minutes 45 left on the clock. By my math, we've got 3 laps to go. Macchignani, only half a second now in front of Alex Sawyer. Less than that as they come out of turn 2. Alex Sawyer's looking hungry. How badly does he want to win? He knows he's got time in his pocket here, but he really wants the win. He really wants to showcase just how strong he is. There's another battle going on. This is Thomas Yu Lee driving around the outside of Rishon Rajiv. And Thomas Yu Lee sells the dummy to the Indian, who now has to try and drive right around the outside. Thomas Yu Lee goes slow in, ready to go fast out. Can the American finish off that move? Ah, he got chopped across by Rishon Rajiv. But this is so much stronger from Thomas Yu Lee. Rajiv moves away to defend. Thomas Yu Lee commits to the racing line. Goes round to the outside. They almost bang wheels, and Thomas Yu Lee's really got Rishon Rajiv's back against the ropes. He dives to the inside line, trying to go for turn 5. Rajiv holds it round the outside. Good work. Good racing between these two. Rishon Rajiv does not want to lose ground to Thomas Yu Lee, who's got so much faster over these few weeks. But Macchignani still trying to hold on from Alex Sawyer. And at the same time, of course, he's got 2 warnings for track limits, whereas Alex Sawyer has none. No more fingernails left back in Vietnam, I'm sure. Everybody on the edge of their seats now. We'll have 2 laps to go at the end of this one, because they will cross the line with a few seconds to spare. Then it will be time plus the additional lap. Macchignani trying to hold on from Sawyer. Sawyer has his first vague look at Macchignani. That's enough to put Macchignani on his haunches. Sawyer's not going to be close enough into turn 1, but that's not what this is about. This is about intimidation. Macchignani still trying to keep Alex Sawyer guessing down the main straight. Down to the braking zone. Macchignani knows he's there. He's not going to brake from that far, Niccolo. But Sawyer will threaten Macchignani versus Alex Sawyer. The race of the year. These two battling for victory. Alex Sawyer wants to get 1 step closer to winning this championship title. Niccolo Macchignani wants the world to know, I am here and I need to be noticed. This is what I can do. Pole position on his debut, now defending against the dominant force of 2025. Trying to shake him off his tail, but Sawyer's got him against the ropes. Macchignani's left it too much on the defence. Oh my word! He locks up, and Alex Sawyer almost goes into his rear wing off the final turn. 1 final lap. Macchignani desperate to shake Sawyer off. Last lap begins. And Niccolo Macchignani versus Alex Sawyer. It doesn't matter how much you weave, Alex Sawyer's going to be catching you all the way down the straight. Now you've got to figure out where you're going to go. Sawyer will try round the outside. But he locks up, and Sawyer's going to have him. Oh, what a move! Alex Sawyer into the lead on the last lap. Absolutely magic from Alex Sawyer. All that intimidation, and it worked. Absolutely incredible as Alex Sawyer takes the lead. Now Maccagnani's going to come back at him. He'll try and outbrake him into turn 4, but he locks up. Now Alex Sawyer's got to go on the defensive from Niccolo Maccagnani. Maccagnani's now got to hunt him down, and Sawyer runs deep. Maccagnani has a go. Fantastic racing between these two. We're not done yet. Maccagnani may have been overtaken by Alex Sawyer, but I don't think he's finished yet. He wants another crack at him. And as they go through to the end of the second sector, up into sector 3, it's going to keep pushing.
Get the checkered flag, not here. Yep.
So Josh Evans just reminding the Evans GP team, we won't get the checkered flag on the South Paddock straight. They'll take it at the Formula 1 finish line. So they can only root for them to go to the line. They can't celebrate as they cross the line. Alex Sawyer has now managed to get ahead of Niccolo Maccagnani and pull away. What an amazing run from Alex Sawyer. He's got the move, and now he's checked into amazingly dominant territory. Meanwhile, Kyo Lee has got ahead of Inigo Anton. We haven't seen it. We've been so busy focusing on this, but Kyo Lee, the Korean, has got ahead of Inigo Anton. But in a race weekend where Alex Sawyer needs to outscore Seth Gilmore by 20 points across 3 races, he's going to outscore Seth Gilmore by 18 in the first race alone. Alex Sawyer is standing on the crest of history. Out of the final turn, checkered flag is in the air. Alex Sawyer wins race number 8 of 2025. Absolutely incredible from Alex Sawyer and the team at Evans GP. Here comes the Korean Kyo Lee, 3rd position ahead of Inigo Anton, and a very frustrated Seth Gilmore is P5. But we're not finished yet. It's still going to be tight to the line here, as we've now got Thomas Yuli battling with Imran Putera, and also that race-long battle between Wang Shun Wei and Ben Yuing. Ben Yuing is going to pull off a last corner overtake, is he? Just a little bit too much wheel spin. So it's going to be Rajiv in P6, ahead of Thomas Yuli, Imran Putera, Wang Shun Wei and Ben Yuing. But it's a double podium for Evans GP. There comes Karin Kaur ahead of Joshua Berry. And rather sadly, Wadapong Yemchan is going to cross the line in 13th place, plus a 10-second penalty for jumping the start. But what a race. What a fantastic battle between Niccolo Maccagnani and Alex Sawyer. Never, ever underestimate this man. The Vietnamese star pulls off, arguably, the overtake of the season. Final lap, so much riding on it for the win, and he pushes Maccagnani into the error and completely swamps him. He even got the back end out on acceleration and missed the front wing end plate of Maccagnani by millimeters. Here's a replay of the move. Maccagnani swarming around all over the place because he knows that Alex Sawyer is all over him like an angry wasp at a picnic. Goes to the far side, Maccagnani's on the inside, misses his braking point look, locks the car. Sawyer just sticks in, and watch him on the throttle. The back end kicks out. Take that. Gotcha. Magic overtake from Alex Sawyer. And that is a man who is just 3 more points ultimately away from becoming the undisputed, dominant Air Force Southeast Asia champion. Absolutely extraordinary. All he has to do is score 2 more points than Seth Gilmore tomorrow, and he is the champion. Unbelievable. What a drive. Alex Sawyer, his time in the sunshine is right now here at Sepang, as Alex Sawyer charges through from 5th on the grid to take the victory ahead of the young pretender Niccolo Maccagnani. You'll hear a lot more from him, I'm sure. Kyo Lee, a great podium run from him on his first race of the year in Southeast Asia. Inigo Anton, P4 ahead of Seth Gilmore. Rishon Rajiv is P6 ahead of Thomas Yuli. Congratulations to Imran Putera, a rookie podium on his debut. Wang Shun Wei ahead of Ben Yuing. 11th place for Karin Kaur, the Singaporean, ahead of her countryman Joshua Berry. And then Wadapong Yamchan from Thailand crossing the line in 13th. But a fantastic battle all the way to the checkered flag for Alex Sawyer. That was better than every single one of his race victories prior to this one. That was his win of the season. From 5th on the grid, it looked almost impossible. But Alex Sawyer proved anything is possible. When you give this guy a steering wheel, he is unstoppable. In his 9th race of the year, he wins for the 8th time. Just astonishing dominance from Alex Sawyer in 2025. And his dad comes and gives him the flag of Vietnam, which he will take to the podium. This could be a very historic weekend for him and his nation. If he gets the job done tomorrow, he will be Vietnam's first FIA single-seater champion ever. Highlights from a fantastic race, and there were many brilliant, brilliant moments. Great to see the hard charge of Alex Sawyer, first taking on Seth Gilmore at the start, then his teammate Kyo Lee. He had to work hard to get ahead of Inigo Anton. And by that point, the gap had built up to over 2 seconds back to Nicolo Macagnani. So Alex Sawyer really had to dig deep. And don't forget, these two are in identical Tartar's cars. So it's not easy to find a performance advantage. But this move, check this out, on Nicolo Macagnani, forces the error, takes the line on the inside, slides the car in, shuts down the move, leaves no doubt. An amazing charge from the Vietnamese talent on the last lap of the race. Alex Sawyer, win number 8 out of 9. And he is just now 3 points away from becoming champion in 2025. Absolutely extraordinary from Alex Sawyer. So next up on the broadcast is the podium ceremony. And that's going to be a very exciting one indeed, to see 2 new faces on the podium in Kyo Lee and Nicolo Macagnani. You're going to hear a lot from that young Italian boy. Pole position on debut and 2nd position in his first race, considering he's never raced an F4 car before. Very impressive. But he will have plenty more great days ahead of him. But nobody's going to take Alex Sawyer's run to the title away from him. 5th on the grid to P1. Quite extraordinary. Frustration down the pit lane there. We can see Inigo Anton struggling to contain his emotions as he comes home in 4th place. He's still on the rookie podium behind Macagnani, but he's not where he wanted to be at all. Well done to that man as well, Thomas Yu Lee. That was his race of the season. Excellent display and a great performance there. Chatting in quite animated conversation there. Continuing on his absolutely fantastic run this season, and chatting away to the Evans GP crew there down in the pit lane, including to the former champion of Indian F4, Cooper Webster, is down there working his craft in Evans GP. A real shame that he hasn't got a race drive on this grid. Denied, of course, by funding. But Cooper Webster really deserves his chance on the Grand Prix grid as well. Sad then that he's not able to do so at the moment. Hopefully he'll get his chance again, because he's a very similar talent actually to Alex Sawyer. The Australian driver Cooper Webster has that same sort of fire and fury behind his driving when he gets it all together. But there's going to be a flag of Vietnam on the podium here. As far as I'm aware, there will be no national anthem played, rather sadly. That is due to some technical difficulties. But you can play it at home or sing it at home if you are a Vietnamese fan who is as proud of Alex Sawyer as I know you should be. Still a fantastic young talent with so much potential. So the podium ceremony conducted by Dana Durr of Top Speed. Kyo Lee on the podium for Korea, and Niccolo Maccagnani, the Italian, on the podium in his first ever race.
Alex Sawyer from
8 race wins in 9 starts for Alex Sawyer. And of course, Niccolo Maccagnani will take the rookie victory.
Master Cup winner, Thomas Lee from LSJT.
And there is a Masters victory, of course, as well, for Thomas Lee, who really drove the race of his season, it has to be said.
Now it's my honor to invite Razora Lani, manager commercial of Sepang International Circuit.
So the trophies will be given out in fantastic fashion. Good start to his progress from Kyo Lee, 3rd position on his debut. Niccolo Maccagnani, P2, and the rookie win on his debut. But for Alex Sawyer, that will be the sweetest win of his season. The way he fought for it, the way he dug deep
Now it's my honor to
and found
invite
amazing
David
passion
Gobi,
out on the
general
circuit.
manager of Top Speed
Great
Sport
work.
LS Limited.
So
Present
Davide
the
De Gobi
award
will
to
present the
rookie
trophies for
winner.
the winning rookie, Niccolo Maccagnani, and the winning master, Thomas Lee. And that was a very impressive run from Thomas Lee, who really fought there very hard indeed in the midfield. So an excellent start to the weekend then, as Alex Sawyer only needs 2 more points than teammate Seth Gilmore to become champion this season. And he's got 2 races to do it tomorrow. So he won't become champion until race 3, but it's certainly looking very good indeed for the Vietnamese talent. From all of us here, thank you very much indeed for watching, as the boys in Sepang will celebrate in true honoured fashion here in the F4 Southeast Asia Championship, round 4, race 1, by getting busy with the fizzy. Ladies and gents, we'll see you bright and early tomorrow for race 2. I'm Jake Sanson. Thank you very much for watching. More racing tomorrow from race 2 and race 3 here at Sepang. Bye for now.